Have you ever wondered why your Pinterest traffic isn't turning into paying clients? This week on the Accidental CEO podcast, we're breaking down the real strategy behind Pinterest that actually converts. I sit down with Dana from Dana's Desk to talk high impact visuals, the underrated power of click through rates, and why one good pin can outwork a month's worth of Instagram posts. If you've been sleeping on Pinterest as a business tool, it's time to wake up. This one is a game changer. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Accidental CEO podcast, where we bridge the gap between the creativity you love and the CEO mindset you need. I'm your host, Nada Salvatore, wedding photographer and business educator. Find full show notes and resources at accidentalceopod.com. Let's get into today's episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Accidental CEO podcast. I'm your host, still sick, Nada Salvatore. And today I have Dana Johnson with me. She's the founder of Dana's Desk Virtual Management. And today we're going to talk about something I'm very excited to talk about, which is the power of Pinterest and why you should be using that in your business. So welcome, Dana.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
I love it. Thanks for being here with us. I'm very excited to dive in. But before, I want to hear about your story, your accidental CEO story, if you have one. How did you end up owning your own business in this, in this day and age?
I feel like it is an accidental story, but it's not like at the same time. So growing up, I always wanted to make my own money. Even as a kid, I would do literally almost anything from raking leaves to cutting the grass to, anything just to make my own money so that I could do essentially whatever I wanted to do. Then fast forward, I fell in love with the show Gilmore Girls. And so I was like, well, that's how I'm going to make my own money. I'm going to own an inn and host events. So I was talking to school counselors, and that led me to the wedding industry. So I could learn how to create, design, manage events. That's where my formal education went to. Fast forward, I was going through a divorce. And so I was working a regular job while also doing weddings on the side. And then COVID happened, and it was, events went up in smoke of trying to get 10 people, let alone the normal guest list of 100 to 150 in the same room to watch you say I do and celebrate and all of these things. It was such a stressful. I have 3 kids, so trying to find someone to watch my kids while I go do this, no one wanted me to come back because I might have COVID. And so there's the accidental switch of becoming Dana's Desk. I pivoted very quickly, like probably faster than I was ready, to becoming a online business manager for wedding professionals because I know the industry, I know what they need, I know how to talk to their couples, I know how important vendor communication is and timeline creation. Like I had already walked that walk and had that education and background. So I pivoted to supporting those that were staying in the industry and finding ways to grow. And that led me into like the organic marketing because you had to hold on to your business funding because you didn't know when the next wedding was coming or how long this pandemic was going to last. So I was like, how can we make this work? Facebook and Instagram are obvious places, mostly Instagram. That's where a lot of couples are. But Pinterest, I was in my research, is a visual search engine. Where do couples go the most to plan their wedding? Where do moms go to plan their first birthday or baby showers or any other life celebration? They go to Pinterest. So I really honed in on that fact of that's where these people are going. So let's utilize that nugget of information and funnel them to my clients' websites or their email list or landing page for their planning timeline or whatever it is, so that now they have more visibility without having to pay for it.
Yeah, I like that. So, given that most people view Pinterest as the place for just inspiration, how do you use that visual search engine to really help attract clients?
Is it a certain way that you have to post things? Like, what is the trick to really help people stop seeing that as just a place to save pictures for inspiration and is actually click to go somewhere to send an inquiry to somebody?
It is basically one big mood board, and there is a lot of saving links, but people come back to it more often. Whereas, like on other platforms, you'll like it and then you'll lose the post. It's built for you to come back for it to it later. It's also built for you to leave the platform. You're meant to create content that has the right keywords and those visuals, like your mini billboards, so that they can discover your services. You want them to click the link to go to your website, to your service page. So a lot of SEO research goes into it. Similar to Google, you're just utilizing it for Pinterest with the images that's going to capture their attention first and then pull them to your website to see more or learn more.
So, what really inspired you to launch this side hustle, and how did you manage the challenges of doing that? Being a mom with having three young children at a time, like take us through that process a little bit, because I know there's somebody out there listening to this that is probably in the same situation and they're trying to find that courage to take the step towards making this side hustle more of their full time business.
Time management is probably the best tip that I have. I'm a big believer in like time blocking, and then I color code it so that I can, again, with the visuals, see, okay, this is orange. This is when I'm doing Dana's desk specific things. Green is client work. Some other color is family time, like whatever the case may be. But I look at my week and I do fill in my kids or family activities first, especially in the summer. So, like if we're going to the library or there's something happening at the park at a certain time and we really want to go, that goes on my calendar first. And then I fit client work around it or with the buffers. That's going to be the biggest thing. And I check that weekly, like right before, like on a Sunday to look ahead. That's the biggest. Setting boundaries is going to be another one. All of my clients in our clarity calls, onboarding calls, I reiterate I am a wife and a mom first, but you're also your biggest cheerleader. But if like my kids are sick, that's why I have a team of virtual assistants that support me so that no matter what life throws at me or at them, someone is there to pick up the baton per se and keep things moving forward. Those are my two big things.
That's great. I don't think that's something that, yeah, I don't think there's something a lot of people do. I know I don't do it, but actually putting down your personal things first on that calendar and then just building the rest of your work week around it. It really helps you focus on, that most important thing for you, which is to be with your family and with your kids and, really spend that quality time together. So that alone, I think, is a great tip for the people listening. So that's great.
Learned that honestly from a wedding venue in North Carolina. It was a couple that owned it, and they would map out the whole year that way. And I was like, I don't know if I could do a year, but that's how they knew what wedding weekends they were 100% close to because they were gone with their families, and so they didn't have to worry about scrambling or anything like that. It was really inspirational when I chatted with them.
So you realize that that side hustle could match your day job's income. What strategies did you really implement to become a little bit more intentional about making that business grow and be, the sole provider for you?
So the first thing I did was hire a bookkeeper. So I outsourced immediately. If I wanted it to be a full-time business, then I needed to have someone to help me strategize my where my funds were going, how to optimize, like reinvest in my business. So I outsourced to a bookkeeper to help me do all of that. That was my first big like CEO moment was doing that.
Nice.
But then I really honed in and implemented a targeted content strategy showcasing befores and afters of like me just testing stuff on my own Pinterest. Like here's what I here's I tested this course that I had threw together at the beginning of my entrepreneur journey. I just wanted to, that's what I was testing, my A and B's and things. So I targeted a content strategy that had like the befores and afters. I share what's trending in the wedding industry on Pinterest so that if you have blogs or galleries on your website, I guide you on how to utilize those trending keywords with existing content. I optimize my profile and my boards with keywords to improve my searchability. I also engage in my community. So while I help my clients with Pinterest, I do have a Pinterest presence, but my community is wedding professionals and they're on Instagram. So I actively engage with other wedding professionals, potential clients, and building relationships on Instagram, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
I look through their stories, I look through their posts and their reels, and I'll like it, I'll comment, I'll share their stuff to my stories to like boost their engagement. And then I'll message them directly and say, your content, your designs are amazing. Are you utilizing them on other platforms? And then that's where I like slowly go into Pinterest and like educate them on how to give their content from Instagram a longer shelf life on Pinterest.
How much maintenance does it needs to happen in Pinterest for things to stay relevant there? So if you look at websites and how SEO works there, there's a certain amount of maintenance work that needs to happen to kind of stay relative. Is that the same thing in Pinterest?
I would say so. Just like any platform, there is that continuous need to research and use relevant keywords. You want to have specific boards created like catering to your ideal client or ideal couple. Just like other platforms, engagement is big. So you can now do more socialization on Pinterest. You can comment on things. You can share your own photos. For instance, if you're like a food blogger and you share a recipe, if someone makes it, they can share what their photo looked like or their meal looked like. So you can really collaborate with your audience on that platform. There's also community boards, which is to me is the Facebook group equivalent on Pinterest. So you can engage with other wedding vendors and amplify your reach that way by everybody pinning in a community board.
That's interesting. I guess I haven't been in Pinterest as much lately as I should, but there's a lot of new features. So let's talk through. You mentioned a few. Is there any new features that have come up recently that maybe people are not aware of, like how Pinterest has evolved in the last couple of years?
One that just came out is you can now sync your Instagram to your Pinterest is a really like your whole account. So the reels and the stories that you're creating can be repurposed directly onto Pinterest. You would just have to change the caption into a pin title and description. That's been my favorite because I don't like being on video as much as possible. So if I can make one piece of content like a story and like make sure it's really good or a reel, I'd rather repurpose it. You can utilize the direct links to improve the shopping experience. You can like help them seamlessly navigate to a certain product page if you have one, or to a certain service that you want to provide. If you offer more than one, if you're full planning in something else, you can utilize that. It's a really big thing.
Would you say that Pinterest works better for products versus services, or have you seen a pretty equal, advantage of using Pinterest if you're both a service provider or if you're just a product seller?
Think it works well for both. The strategy will be different, but it works extremely well for both. A lot of people, when I connect with them, they think, oh, it's just for bloggers. But how do bloggers make their money? They recommend products that they're using, but their service is writing the blog posts, it's the lifestyle content that they're creating. So they're almost both. But if you have an email list, you should be on Pinterest. If you solve a problem for someone, you should be on Pinterest. With using real estate agents as an example, someone is planning to purchase a home, they're going to go to Pinterest on how to save money. They're going to look for how to stage their home, how to flip a home or move efficiently. So all of those services, a real estate agent, a moving company, interior designer, all three of those provide different services, different products, but one person will need all three of those really to prepare for a move.
All right. So you mentioned that the strategy has to be a little bit different for products versus service. Can you just give us maybe one or two examples of what that look like?
Sure. I don't do a lot of products. I can give it a go because I do mainly do the service. But
Okay.
to leverage your service expertise, you almost start at the beginning, almost reverse engineer. You would identify your client needs and analyze your service experience to understand the common challenges that a potential client would face. And that way you utilize that. They're going to be searching for those keywords, whether it's using weddings, they're looking for a timeless wedding design, or they're on the other end of that, they're trying to stay how to stay within budget when they have a big guest count, like those sort of random things. But those are the keywords they're going to be looking for a product creator. There you're going to look for something to that enhances or supports someone. So it could be a busy mom needing to, one of my favorite things I think I've been seeing is like the bag organizers, like the mom bag, but it has like all the different pockets. So something like that would be like those keywords. So promoting your products or services, you want to then, with that strategy, you have your pin title and description, your SEO words that you have in there. Once that starts building traction, you want to funnel them into a place where you have more control over the client experience. So email marketing. So now that you can link them through from Pinterest and Instagram, you can send them to your Instagram where you can better direct message them when they like and comment your stuff. You are directly speaking to them. For service providers, you want to have blog posts, you want to have galleries that showcase more than just what that one pin could do. Like, it's wonderful that one billboard, tiny little billboard, grab their attention, but now you really want them engaged and like drooling over your work that you created. And then using website analytics to see which pages have the most traffic, which pins are being clicked more, like your click through rate versus, oh, they just opened it, they looked at it, and then they moved on. Like really honing in on that. And that can work for both the product and the service providers, is really seeing what's resonating with potential buyers and then replicating that more and refining the ones that are underperforming and don't have as much click through rate or has many outbound clicks is what it's called, and then revamping the strategy on those.
You are not failing. You're foggy. You know something is off in your business. You're spinning your wheels. You're buried in tasks. You're second guessing every single decision. Burnout is not always about doing too much. Sometimes it's about not knowing what actually matters. Chaos to Clarity audits are $97 deep dives where we cut through the noise and figure it out where your energy is leaking and why. No templates, no to-do list, just one sharp human conversation to help you name the real bottleneck, see what's in your way, and finally feel confident about what to do next. You walk away with fewer tabs open in your brain and more calm in your body because clarity isn't a luxury. It's a requirement for growing anything that lasts. Are you in? Go to accidentalceo.co/chaos. That's accidentalceo.co/chaos. I'll see you there.
What is more important when we're looking at Pinterest and some of the stats there? Like, is it important to have more followers or is it important to have more views? Like, is there a number that people should focus on?
It just honestly, it depends on what you want. But most businesses want sales, no matter what it is, whether it's a full service wedding package or buying your favorite lipstick. So to me, I think the biggest performance measurement would be that click-through rate. So impressions and reach are how many people saw your content, and that kind of gauges your brand awareness. The likes, comments, shares, saves to a board, saves to a community board, that indicates how interested the audience is. But we want them to be so interested that those pins turn into clicks that lead to proposals. So the click through rate is the people who actually click on the pin and go to your website. That to me would be the number that I look at the most. But I start with impressions and reach. If I work with a client and this is the first time I'm really into their account and like messing around, first I grow their impressions and reach because it's almost a numbers game. The more people that see your content, the more they're going to engage, and then they're going to want to click through. So I don't start with that, but that is the end goal, is to increasing the clicks.
When you say impressions, you're talking about that monthly views?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What is a number that people should aim for right there?
For the amount of views?
Yeah.
I honestly, and this may be controversial, but I don't think there's an exact number. Just looking at my own Pinterest, I have not pinned in over a month, like consistently, but I still have, in the last 30 days, I've had 3 outbound clicks, 2 saves, and 1,100 impressions. And that's over a month. I was talking with a potential client, and she hasn't pinned probably in a year, and she's still driving traffic from the strategy that she implemented. So there isn't really like a magic number of, oh, you want to have this. I think it's how much content that you need to create. So bare minimum, you should have 1 pin a day, just so that you can drive traffic and like really get a feel. If you really want to amplify and like that click through rate, you need to do like 3 to 5 pins a day.
Oh, wow.
But
That's a
it does sound like a lot. However, if you are like me and you're on vacation, you don't have to pin, because I'm still pulling in 1,100 views. I can take a break if I need to and pick up exactly almost where I left off, if not better. And some of my pins that I pinned last year are some of my best performing pins. That's a year ago, and they're still pulling in traffic. You also have to think, how much content do you already have on Facebook and Instagram? Probably a lot, because that content has to be recreate. Like, you need new content every day, if not multiple times a day. And then it disappears. So you can take that content you're already creating and give it a different, like a better, longer shelf life to be on there. With the right SEO and keywords for the platform, 1 pin for a blog post can last 6 months or longer. But you can get from 1 blog post 10 or more pin graphics. So you're not like making 10 blog posts to have 1 pin. It's 10 pins per 1 piece of content that you make. So it's not nearly as like overwhelming.
So if somebody has their views in the thousands, 18,000, 20,000, I've seen really high, but they're saying they're not seeing conversions, like Pinterest is really not bringing them clients. What would be the possible disconnects there?
I would say it's more their call to action. I would say really look at the visual graphic is pulling. That's what the views are coming from. So it's probably their SEO. It is probably their call to action is not strong. It doesn't really tell them what to do next. Most clients need like a handheld experience to funnel them through. So the wide part of the funnel of like visibility and brand awareness is great because you have the numbers. However, now we need to hone in on the copy and then hone in on what happens after they leave and go to your website or go to your landing page. Is it confusing to them? Like, do they know what to do next? Do they even know what they're looking at? Do the links on your landing page not work? Does it lead them somewhere else? Is it like, we want to keep it simple, and it could be that it's just too much for one person to like oh, you're throwing all your offers at once instead of let's send them to this one blog post, let's send them to this one landing page for this one product or service. Then we can drip other things to either upgrade them or whatever to grow your revenue alternatively. But we don't want to throw it all at them at one time. And I think that is what happens a lot of times.
I've heard people say that you shouldn't always direct people to the same link on Pinterest. Is that true?
You don't want to use the same link multiple times a day, correct?
Multiple times a day,
So
but
that,
but if it's kind of
yes,
spread out, like let's say if you decide to link your homepage of your website as the main page that you're going to link on your posts.
I would do that maybe once a day and that's it. But you run the risk of being marked as spam if you post your homepage like 3 to 5 times a day. I would do maybe your homepage. I would do a service page. I have actually, I have 3 different service pages. So I link to each individual one. I have my blog page, I have my resources, I have a landing page for my Pinterest graphic subscription that then will lead them to my homepage. Like I funnel them in a variety of ways.
So let's take it back to the personal life strategies a little bit. You're a big fan of, no hustle culture and kind of trying to find that balance with your family. What are some of the ways that you find like you've helped your clients do that for themselves too?
I help with creating systems and automation. So we implement systems for scheduling, content creation, client communication, like really streamline their workflows. I help figure out which tasks, like especially high priority tasks, can be batched with similar activities to maximize efficiencies. I delegate and outsource for core business activities and family time too. So if someone is hesitant and doesn't really know, they're like, I don't know what work I can give you. Well, then let's start with just 1 or 2 things that you maybe put off at the end of the month and then feel like you're overwhelmed because you did wait to the last minute. We'll just start with those 2 core tasks. And then that will free you up enough bandwidth to really look at creating a list of, I like this, I don't like this. I can manage doing this one. I have no interest in doing XYZ. And so I will do that. I have one client that loves client communication, but she didn't like timelines and she didn't like that like back end admin stuff. So making sure her timeline was very meticulous. So it made sense that it was overwhelming for her, but she does very high end weddings. So, I mean, every bobby pin size detail needed to be on the timeline. So we took that from her. We took that process from her. And she was able to devote more time in person or virtually with her clients. I have another client, he likes that sort of thing. He likes doing the timeline, but he doesn't like email. And he has so many emails that, I mean, almost 10 hours a month could be dedicated just to that. So everyone's different. That's like with our services, we create systems that fit where you are and like help you get to where you want to go.
Do you, when it comes to Pinterest, if you have to say this is the number one strategy, if you only have time to dedicate it, to one thing to do on Pinterest, what would say is the most effective strategy to help you grow your business there?
I mean, it's a visual platform, so high quality visuals will always be at the top of the list. Stunning photos and videos that showcase your work are going to be crucial for grabbing the attention. And then I know that's the number one. And then immediately behind that is going to be like your SEO optimization for storytelling so that you have the captions that kind of tell your expertise and the story behind your work and connect with potential clients. It's almost like a twofold.
Gotcha. That's great. Let's see what else we have for you. What are some goals that you have for the future of your business and that you're working on now to kind of grow Dana's desk?
This is like the perfect time to ask that because quarter 3 is right around the corner. And so that's what we've been thinking about. I want to grow Dana's Desk to be like the go-to organic marketing agency for wedding professionals. So I am training my team on Pinterest so that they can help balance that endeavor. I'm going through Pinterest Academy and like rehoning my skills because I like to stay up to date. But that's my biggest goal with that is offering like a full service Pinterest management experience for wedding professionals.
Very good. I'm excited to see where it goes. Do you work with clients outside of the wedding industry?
Yes. So I do know that industry the best because I have experience in it. So that's where most of my marketing minutes go. But I am a nerd at learning all the things. So I'm happy to work with other service providers or creative businesses to help them boost their visibility as well. Honestly, I'd be excited to do so because it would give me something to like rabbit hole learn and get better at.
I love that. I love learning too. So I hear you. What advice would you give to, somebody trying to start using Pinterest a little bit more for their business? They feel like it's overwhelming. They just heard us talk about posting one pin a day at least. They're like, I don't even know where to start. How do you encourage them to push through? Because that's a good way to help grow your reach for your clients.
I always recommend starting small and utilize your available time wisely. So identify pockets of time during your day or week to dedicate to business tasks. If you only have an hour dedicated to Pinterest, I honestly think that's plenty. Look at the existing content that you have, whether it's a weekly newsletter or a blog post that you like, an older blog post. Spend 7 minutes looking at trending keywords, see what content you have that aligns with that. Then spend another 10 or 15 minutes creating the pins using like Canva because it's, the best out there for new entrepreneurs who don't maybe have a design degree. Create pins, 10 pins for your one piece of content, and then spend the remaining time writing out pin titles and descriptions that utilize those trending keywords and funnel it. Do one pin a day so that you don't upset Pinterest and get marked as spam, but one pin a day and lead them to that one blog post and just focus on the progress and celebrate that you got 10 days worth of content for one blog post or one newsletter and like sign them up that way.
Love that. So for people that want to find more about what you do and potentially work with you, tell us where is the best way to connect.
So you can find me on Instagram and Pinterest for that matter, but on Instagram is at danas.desk.nc. My website is ddvirtualmanagement.com where you can learn more about the services. I do have a resources page of probably too many resources, but a lot of resources that I have used in my own business. So I highly recommend them. And my inbox is always open to anyone that has questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much for spending the time with me and teaching everybody how to consider Pinterest more than just that inspirational, place. Is definitely something that I've heard from a lot of people that they've been able to generate some more clients, some more income for their business with that. So I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about it.
No problem. I'm excited.
Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us today again. And we'll see you next week for another episode of the Accidental CEO podcast. Bye.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Accidental CEO podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us in the world where creativity and business strategy collide. I am Nada Salvatore, thrilled to have shared this time with you. Remember, every episode is a step closer to mastering the art of being an accidental CEO. So don't miss out. Hit subscribe, drop us a sweet review, and spread the word to your creative tribe. Your next big breakthrough could be just one episode away. Join us next time for more insights, laughs, and actionable tips. Keep pushing boundaries, dreaming big, and embracing the beautiful chaos of entrepreneurship. Here's to make magic happen in your business and beyond.